brother EP. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Whether you're here for a good time or a long time, I greatly appreciate you sliding through. If this your first time, do your boy solid. Don't make it your last time. Hit that subscription button as well. We talk this good MMA, boxing, sports, parlays, predictions every single day, and not just today. Today we're here with a UFC perch, right? This is an Australian card, UFC perch fight card. This is going to be Carlos Ulberg versus Dominique Reyes. Yes, that Dominique Reyes, the infamous or famous Dominique Reyes, who took Jon Jones the distance. And some people feel like he may have should got the win. Some people feel like Dominique Reyes is the only guy to beat Jon Jones. Me personally, I feel like Jon Jones won that fight, but Dominique Reyes most definitely, as you know, we like to say, stood on business that fight. But I do think Jon Jones got the win. He's taking on Carlos Ulberg, a striker. I think predominantly this is going to be a striking fight. What we going to talk about on this EP, right? We're going to break down this main event fight. We're going to keep the main thing the main thing. I'm going to give y'all my winners for each card as well. I'm going to give you my most confident picks, my dog picks, parlay picks, right? And we go chop up the Dana White Contender Series picks as well. The streak has finally come to an end on Dana White Contender Series. I went 5-0 before I took my first loss with the parlay. So now the parlay is at 5-1. We gonna try to get back on the winning track this week with Dana White, right? So Dana White picks at the end of the card as well. But let's get into it again. I'm going to do this video a little different to set up. Let me know if you noticed the different setup, right? But let's go ahead and get into this main event. All right, like I mentioned earlier, right, I think this is going to be predominantly a standing fight. Both of these guys are stand-up fighters. Reyes is much better on the ground than Carlos Ulberg, although Reyes doesn't really go to the ground much. I'm just saying, if need be, Reyes would have that advantage. Ulberg is not going to try to get it there. I'm not really thinking that, you know, Reyes is going to try to get it there, so I'm thinking these guys are going to be standing. While they are both strikers, they are a little different in their striking techniques. Ulberg likes to be, you know, more outside. He can fight at mid-range, but he's most comfortable outside, and he's extremely uncomfortable on the inside. Reyes, on the other hand, he can fight at range, you know, given his age. The older he's getting at this point, it's getting a little harder for him, you know, to fight at range. He'll rather be mid-range and actually on the inside, right, so where he can get his his boxing off. Not necessarily his dirty boxing, but, you know, he can get his short range to mid-range boxing off, let his hands go. Ulberg is more so of a foot, you know, striker, right? And you got Reyes, who's more of a hand striker, right? So both strikers in different ways. I think this is going to be a technical bout, a tactical bout, right? A technical, however you want to say it, a technical bout, right? I think this is going to be, you know, a precision surgeon kind of fight. I think both guys are going to take their time, right? If the fight is mostly fought at the outside, Ulberg has a height and reach advantage. That will be advantage Ulberg. The closer they get to one another, I think it's advantage Reyes. Y'all, I think this fight is going over that 2.5. If I had to take a pick in this side, I would have to go maybe the underdog Reyes at their plus 200, given how close I think the fight could be and the value on it. I think Reyes could be able to win a fight, you know, on the points. I think Ulberg is kind of more dangerous for a stoppage at this point in his career, given he's a little more primed, right? But this will probably be a dog or pass for me. I like that over 2.5. You asking me for my bet in this, and I will go, you know, Reyes on the dog or pass. But I do think it's going to be a good fight. I like Carlos Ulberg. Interested to see how this fight turns out. All right, what I'm about to do in this section, I'm about to let y'all know every fight winner I got. Give you a little, you know, analysis on it. We're going to go in-depth analysis about the fights that we're going to be spending our money on, right? So we're going to talk about 7 to 8 fights in particular after this section. This section, we're going to talk about them all, right? I got Perez over Ellison. We're going to talk about that fight a little later. I got Montague over Carolina. We're going to talk about that fight a little later. I think Malarkey wins his fight over Badeo, right? Not extremely high confidence, you know, probably won't be betting it. I think the lock in there will be fight to start the second. I think that's going to be a mostly standing fight. I think Malarkey is more talented overall. Just don't trust his chin as much. I got Thickness to win his fight over Musasa as the dog pick as well. I think Thickness is going to be a little quicker, right? Musasa is kind of a plodding guy. The power hadn't carried just yet. I think Thickness is better overall. I'm going to go wrestling with the dog pick as well over Petrosky. I think Petrosky is a little slow. I think he's a bit of a slow thinker in the ring as well. I think Cam Wrestling to be able to outstrike him and figure him out. Also, I got Malakath on the dog pick over Oban Elliott, right? Think he's just better all around. And I got Tanara. We're going to talk about that fight a little later over Luke Bume. I got Sterling to win his fight. Of course, a little worried, right? But I think Sterling wins. Sutherland as the dog in his fight as well, right? Not a big dog, but Sutherland for the win. Nolan Campbell, not confident in that fight either way. I'm probably not going to bet that fight. Jake Matthews, we're going to talk about that fight a little later. I like him in his fight. Ursland to win as a dog as well. That's a dogger pass for me. I got Jenkins winning his fight. I think his forward pressure will be able to get him through that. And we already talked about the main event fight. All right, now we about to talk about, the fights that we like the best, the fights that we'll be using to make our money. The first fight, we got, I think his name is Pericic, right? We got Pericic versus Ellison. This is going to be a stand-up battle as well with two heavyweights. So I do think somebody's getting knocked out, fight not distance, right? Maybe you take the under, especially if it's 2.5. I think he go under 1.5 as well. But I got Pericic for the win. I think he's the cleaner striker. He's a kickboxer as well. More experience. Neither has an extenuous MMA record, right? But Pericic is more experienced in fighting. They both have knockout shots. I think Pericic lands his first because he's cleaner, the more schooled MMA fighter. Pericic for the win. All right, next fight we got Montague versus Carolina. And Carolina is one of those people, right? I know that she's going to be an underdog in her fight. She's one of those people I like finding, seeing, how big of a dog she could be, and maybe I'd take her. Once I saw Montague, I was like, hold on, let me see. Is this Montague from the PFL? And indeed it is Montague from the PFL, right? So this isn't the spot that I want to take Carolina. This is going to be a style clash, right? Carolina stand-up fighter, Montague wrestler, grappler. Montague is going to be using her forward pressure. She's the kind of fighter that beats Carolina, right? If you give Carolina space to strike mid-range outside, she can pick you apart. She's kind of quick, but Montague has power. She strikes to get in to her takedowns, right? Adequate striking, but she's striking to take you down. I think, she'll land some takedowns. Her forward pressure and constant grinding will get her the win in this. Montague for the win. All right, the next fight we got Luke Bume versus Tanara. We're going to go with Tanara in this. I actually think Luke Bume is a little pit bull dog, right? I mean it as a compliment, but Tanara is a big pit bull dog, you know what I mean? So I think excitement-wise, this is going to be one of the more exciting fights on the card. Both these fighters, are pretty good standing up, are pretty good on the ground. So I'm thinking, wherever this may go, it's going to be a firefight, but I do think Tanara is better everywhere the fight goes, on top of being the bigger, stronger, more athletic fighter. Luke Bume is like 5'1", Tanara's like 5'5" or 5'4", like that, right? So she's already an explosive cannonball, and now you're going to make her a lot bigger than her opponent, who is scrappy. I think the size going to be too much, on top of Tanara being more skilled and better, all-around fighter. Tanara for the win. And last but not least, to round out my most confident picks and the parlay, but I do got an extra fight to break down for you if you want to on the parlay. But this fight, we got Jake Matthews versus Neil Magny. Respecting Neil Magny, but I think Neil Magny is over the hill. Not really sure why they keep putting Neil Magny in there with these guys who are probably going to smoke him. But every now and again, Neil Magny will surprise you, right? Don't think this is going to be one of those times. Jake Matthews is ever evolving still. He's still pretty young considering how much experience he already has, right? So I like Jake Matthews. Think he's better on the ground. Maybe not submission-wise, but he does have submission. But he's the better wrestler. He's the better grappler, right? The stronger guy. I think he's the much, much better striker. He's much better than Neil Magny striking, right? So Neil Magny's in trouble on the feet. Jake Matthews, lock pick of the night, should be able to get this win. I'm thinking Jake Matthews knockout or submission, but Jake Matthews for the win over Neil Magny for sure. I think he's going to be outgunned on the feet and out-muscled on the ground. And last but not least, again, We got Sterling versus Bellato. This is if you want a little more juice, on your parlay, or if you don't like one of the ones on the early one and you want to substitute selection, here you go, Navajo Sterling. I think he wins. Bellato, who I actually picked as a dog in his last fight, he pretended to be asleep. I think he got hit pretty hard. A lot of people saying that he didn't get hit that hard. I think he got hit pretty hard, right? And I've seen people, fight, take fouls, and then come back and then get knocked out or stopped in the fight. And sometimes I wish they had to just, sat out, right? So he's taking a lot of flack. I still think it's funny, which is why I used the picture, right? Because he's clearly not knocked out, right? But he's going to lose to Navajo Sterling. His only chance is to, be aggressive, cage push Sterling, try to get it down, try to submit him. It's going to be hard to take down Sterling. Sterling is better on the feet. Bellato has a puncher's chance, right? And the grappler's hope. But Navajo Sterling, for the win, think he'll be able to land on the feet with his range. I think he'll be able to stop Bellato actually at some point. But Sterling for the win, had confidence. You get the line. I do think this fight probably does go over 1.5 though, if that's the line. But Navajo Sterling for the win. All right, now let's get into the underdog breakdown section. Right, I got Cam Ralston over Petrowski. I do think Petrowski is good, right? But I think Cam Ralston, I think he's going to be a more active. Petrowski takes a lot of time. He's very hesitant. Now, if he can land this takedown, that's not going to matter. He's going to win with ground control. Right, and we have seen Cam Ralston, being ground control before by Terrence Finney, but I think it's going to be harder for Petrowski to wrestle him. Also, Finney's conditioning is amazing. Petrowski isn't so much. So I think Cam Ralston may lose his first round, but I think Cam Ralston's going to win the second and the third round. I think he'll be able to sneak that fight from Petrowski. I think he'll be able to keep it standing where he has the advantage, right? So Cam Ralston to win. Petrowski may land some takedowns, but I think Ralston to be able to do enough on the back end of that fight to get the win. So Cam Ralston is dog pick number 1. The next underdog pick we got, which might be my favorite underdog pick. I like both of them, though, Ralston and McKellar, right? But we're going to take McKellar over Ellie. I think this is going to be a stand-up fight between two good strikers, right? McKellar is going to have a 5-inch reach advantage, and I think that's going to play a big part. I also think McKellar is better, in the clinch, grappling, and probably on the ground, right? Omar Elliott, predominantly just wants to strike. McKellar does have a verse game. I'm going to go with McKellar with this pick at the slight dog at plus 105, right? Like McKellar to beat Elliott, and what I think is going to be a stand-up battle. I think he'll be able to outstrike Oban Elliott, McKellar for the win. All right, what we about to do now is we about to review the picks that we just made, right, for the fight parlay. I got Perisic, Montague, Tanara, and Matthews. You put those 4 together, that'll get you to plus 278. Pretty decent odds, right? But if you want even more juice on that, you can add Navajo Sterling, and that'll bring you up to plus 440. Pretty confident in all 5 of those picks, right? My dog picks are Ralston and McCullough, right? Hope I'm not butchering his name either, but McCullough is 105. Ralston is plus 125. Pretty confident in both of those dog picks. Think they both get the win. What we're about to do now is we're about to go to our Dana White Contender Series Week 7 fight picks, and we about to make those, go get y'all right with those as well. We're now 5-1 on the parlay, right? Let's try to get back on that winning track and make it 6-7 this week. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, and to close this thing out, we got the Dana White Contender Series Week 7 picks. We got Tobias. I think that fight is not going the distance. Mainly, we got Reyes. I like the over 2.5. We got Montenegro. I like that over 2.5. Zurcher. I like the over 1.5. And then we got Barbary. Fight not distance. It's Contender Series, so, it's always hard to gauge these guys or women and what they go come in, right, with not a whole lot of information on them. The Dana White Contender Series parlay this week, we got Torres Reyes over 2.5, Zurcher Magomedov over 1.5, and we got Barbary on the money line. That main event with Barbary is going to be a banger. Zurcher Magomedov is going to be a banger. Torres Reyes, I think, is going to be highly exciting. This is probably going to be the most entertaining Dana White Contender Series card for sure, even if it's not, the best one talent-wise. There are some talented fighters on this card, though, right? Both fighters in the main event, both fighters in the main event. You got the latest fight that should be interesting. Torres and Reyes. You may not feel like they're the most skilled fighters, but very exciting fighters style-wise. This should be a really good Dana White Contender Series card, right? I gave you my winners, man. I gave you my parlay picks. I appreciate y'all sliding through this thing. Skin the hard way, studying see this ain't the past, this ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we rocking, and I'm out. Look, and here are my fight picks and best bet in case you forgot. Parachute, Montague, Tanara, Matthews, that'll get you to plus 278. You want more juice? Add Sterling at plus 440. My dog picks are I'll be messing his name up. McAuliffe and Ralston. Appreciate y'all folks sliding through, man. Have a good day.